St. Louis Syndicate fans, I'm Nate, he's Brandon. We're here with the AFC South. This is our updates, and we are going to give you everything that we know about these, which is probably very little, Brandon. The AFC South is an interesting division. And I've studied and I've reviewed and I know nothing. No, I'm just kidding. We got some good insights coming for you guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed our last previews. We've done the AFC East, we've done the NFC South, and now we're going to head into the AFC South. And we're going to give you the updates. The worst team, we go worst to first here. It's kind of how it works. The worst team is those Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans, Brandon, didn't do very well this year, for lack of a better term. While better than Vegas, while better than the Jets, while better than Arizona, not really. They're all 3-14, for God's sakes. They just happen to win the right games at the right times and get the 4th overall pick. What do you got with them? What are they going to do here?
The Titans did so bad this year, they had to pick a different logo.
Yeah, they did. They got new logos.
It's
It could go on my
absolutely
logo
insane.
board back here, all these things. I could have a Titans one.
Yeah,
It'd be like
it's
6
just,
feet long.
it's one of those, somebody needs to use the Oilers. I don't have anything to do with this, but like, you have a Houston team now. They're just using the Texans, which is an insane name.
Right.
Houston moves over to Tennessee. And instead of just, Arizona kept the Cardinals, the LA kept the Lakers. Like, just nobody cares. If you have a cool
Indianapolis
logo,
kept the Colts.
right? Yeah.
Right.
They just go, we're going to go the Titans. I don't know what it is exactly, but you want to say that it's not just longevity.
2026, they should be the Landmans.
There you go. Whatever. As long as you bring back the big old school oil derrick.
Yeah.
You call your team whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Both of them have bad logos.
And have an oil derrick, and you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I think that they're cursed for getting rid of that perfectly good retro jersey and picking the Titans. If you're going to pick the Titans, make it like Greek mythology. Don't just a big dumb T. Like, let's get like a lightning bolt and like the arm of Zeus or something. Like, there you go. Like, get something but Poseidon or something.
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
I know that those are the gods and not the Titans, but I can't remember any of the Titans' names. But the point being that they picked a very nondescript thing, and then they have very nondescript seasons, like losing 7 games in a row in the middle of your season like they did this year. So nothing like having the number 1 pick, taking your franchise quarterback, and then coming back a year later and going, well, this year we have the 4th pick. So we did marginally better. So that's what we're looking at. They ended the season, like you said in our intro, at 3-14.
Yep.
And Vegas has bestowed upon them the over-under of 6.5.
Okay.
I'm assuming sheerly off the back of the fact that Cam Ward looked slightly better at the end of the season than he did at the beginning of the season.
Right.
So he's making some steps. He's got the ability to make the craziest throws. It's just in the NFL, if you can't do all the other things, those crazy throws don't really overcome too much other than get you on the highlight reel for throwing across your body like 60 yards on a dot.
Yeah.
But here's where we're at. They ended the season as the 2nd team, 27th in offense, 31st in defense.
Okay.
They played the 5th hardest schedule.
Okay.
Now, they're obviously going to get an easier schedule, or at least starting, right? Like, we're talking about, where they ended, because, and I didn't really go through the schedule, but I'm sure they played teams that ended up playing much better than they were projected to coming into the season.
True. Jacksonville being case in point, and Indianapolis being case in point.
Jacksonville jumps way up. Houston stays in the same realm. Obviously, part of their conversation is going to be that they took a step back, but,
Right.
still won plenty of games. And then Indy, did rattle off a bunch of wins before just falling off the face of the earth. But Tennessee turns their coaching staff over. They get Salah. They bring him from San Francisco.
Yeah.
They go and get Dayball. They bring him down from the Giants.
Yeah. Yeah.
They hand over the team to these two guys.
Okay.
So obviously the thinking is Salah. I don't know why they keep giving this man a head coaching job. He's a defensive guru. Hopefully with Dayball there, he will focus on the defense.
Yeah.
And maybe Dayball can get back to running an effective offense. I don't know. It's very crazy. It kind of seems like Dayball kind of got built from Josh Allen instead of the other way around.
Right.
But you have a quarterbacks coach, offensive coordinator now to oversee Cam Ward. And you got Salah, who should hopefully help build the defense. Remains to be seen, but potentially. They have went out. They got Wan'Dale Robinson. They've picked up John Franklin, Cordell Flott, Mitch Trubisky. When signed him, backup quarterback. Grab a new punter, Tommy Townsend.
Chase Daniels
they've picked up, a couple of guys there to help. This is another one of those teams where we talk about, the Jets and Miami in the last episode, New Orleans in the episode before that these teams need themselves a ton of help when it comes down to it. That, at this point, Tennessee, the unfortunate thing is that we're staring at them rotting from the head, basically. They had Vrabel. They had the coach. There's no way that doesn't persist as a problematic thing in the organization as you move forward. To go, we're watching the guy that we told to beat it play in the Super Bowl, coach in the Super Bowl. So, with the fourth pick, I hope that they're looking at, defensively, getting some guys in here that can help slow down the scoring that's happening against them. I don't think that you're in the position where, hey, we need to start shoring up the offense yet. Obviously, you don't want to get Cam Ward just murdered on the field, but this is, in my mind, the sort of thing where you start on the defense, you get some rushers, you start trying to create short fields with turnovers, and give Cam Ward the chance to punch the ball in and kind of build up and get that NFL speed all handled to go with this magical cannon of an arm that he's got. So, that's my mind. It's hard to say. Obviously, at the fourth pick, any one of these defensive guys that are right at the top, the Ohio State 3 that are sitting there, all would be useful guys to grab, and you drop down into, what you were kind of talking about on the last episode with Bailey coming out of Texas Tech. Those are probably if he makes it there. But those are kind of the four guys that you go, hey, Mendoza's going to get taken first. Two other guys are going to get grabbed. They're not necessarily going to be defensive guys. And then we've got Downs and Reese and Styles and Bailey staring you in the face to go, who's left and who do we like the most? Who's going to help us the most in the short term? Then I feel like, you have to kind of decide what you think is going to go second and third as we kind of get closer and we start getting more reporting coming out of those top teams. But those have got to be the guys that you're looking at. I don't think there's any reason to go, I'm going to go focus on the offense and just continue letting our defense be that bad.
Man, I agree with the philosophy and everything that you've talked about. except what I'm hearing is not what you're saying. Now, from a from a from a decision-making perspective of leadership, I 100% agree. And if I'm Saleh, I want to build inside out, right? I want to build a
Yeah.
strong defensive line. I want to build a strong offensive line. I've got a quarterback. This is not an issue. Cam Ward has proven enough that he's going to be able to play in this league. He needs a little bit more time to develop. He's going to be turning the ball over. You're going to lose stupid games. Let's build a foundation while he's still being an idiot. I know that sounds ridiculous and harsh, but it's the truth, right? He's going to have another year of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I think by year 3, he might have turned a little bit of a corner only because of maturity. That being said, Tennessee is in a unique position. Run blocking wise, they were 23rd in the league, and they need to improve that number into this year. They need to jump up to the 14 or 15. So they need an offensive lineman as well from a run block perspective because they have no running game. A running game is a massive complement to a quarterback. Their running backs actually graded out at 28th in the league. What I'm worried is going to happen, what I think should happen for Tennessee is they build defensively like you're discussing. This is how to do it. I got a feeling they're going to reach and go Jeremiah Love here because he's an elite talent and they miss Derrick Henry. And ownership is going to press on them to have another jersey selling talent that they can do. And I
Look, it's fun.
don't think that's the way to do it. I do think he can help.
It'll get me to watch.
Yeah, I
That's gonna
do
be
think he can
exciting.
help. Him and Cam Ward in the backfield can help. They do not have the receivers. They do not have the tight ends. They don't have the outlets. Can they pick up enough in the second, third, and fourth rounds to contribute to that defense and offense to make Jeremiah Love worth the pick? I don't know. That's the trick, right? Is can you
Yeah.
find enough value? And do you have on your page who they picked up free agent wise?
Yeah. I mean, like so far, it's Wandale Robinson, John Franklin,
Not
Cordell
enough.
Flout.
Not
Yeah.
enough. Not
Alante
enough.
Taylor,
Not enough.
Trubisky. Like they don't have a very long list of signings so far in the offseason. They
Not
let
a big fan
L'Jarius
of that.
Sneed leave. They let Roger McCreary leave and Devontae Sweat. Like 3 defensive players, let them leave. They went and got some new defense and then Wandale Robinson. And that's really all they've swapped out from what they've had last year.
Yeah,
And I want to believe in Love, but we tried this last year
I
with the
agree.
Raiders.
I agree.
The Raiders on paper were ahead of where Tennessee was, and it didn't work. Like the only upside is that, hey, you have what you think is your quarterback of the future. But I think what we've proven over the last couple of years is that a running back can be very valuable if he is one of the last pieces of the puzzle. Hey, we've got
Jameer
all this
Gibbs.
stuff.
Jameer Gibbs.
Yeah. Or it's what KC is hoping is happening by
With
bringing
Ken
Kenneth Walker the third in.
Yep.
Hey, we've got all this other stuff. Now let's go pay this guy and bring him in. And it's an unfortunate position because, you look at, the best available, and Jeremiah Love is the top guy on most of the lists.
Yeah.
But what we all know is that I'm sure you want to go number 1 or as close to number 1 as possible. But you have to be able to look at those teams and go, that's not going to be a good situation for me.
No.
It sucks.
No.
Like, I'm going to get the shit
I
beat
don't
out of
like
me
it.
because
Trust me,
everybody's,
I don't like it.
yeah, no. But like, that's where I go. Tennessee is just daring everybody to have the same conversation again.
Yeah.
Where you go, okay, you had Vrabel. You didn't like the way he interacted with the GM. GM wins, Vrabel leaves. And then
Yeah.
you go, hey, we know how running backs work when you give them to the 32nd best team. And they go, hold my beer. It's going to work differently here. Even though it's one thing if you go, hey, Washington. Washington had a down year. But the previous year, they were like in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And you go, hey, maybe we want to plug in a top flight running back with a healthy Jaden Daniels. And you go, okay, at least, yeah, you're picking pretty high in the draft because you guys had an exceptionally bad season. But at least you have some pieces where you can then elevate. I do. I get where they're coming from. I see where it's going. I could definitely see them doing it. But I think it murders their ability to grow ultimately.
Totally. 100% agree. And I do not think it's the right move. I bring it up because I'm seeing it on draft boards.
Yeah.
I don't love it at all. It's a bad move.
You know what makes it really easy though? Is if they go and they draft Jeremiah Love, 4th pick. To me, it makes it way easier to go, I'll go ahead and take the under on the 6.5.
Yeah.
Like we're moving on. Like you guys aren't trying to win this year.
No.
Best case scenario, you're trying to win in the future. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that like you aren't completely disconnected from reality. You just have a longer plan than I think you should have.
Yeah.
And so we're going to assume you're going to win another 2, 3, 4 games, pick high again next year. And then you'll be picking with a top flight running back, a top flight quarterback, and then building around them and waiting another year to do it.
But let me ask you this. At the risk of making this podcast go long, what happens if we draft Jeremiah Love and trade up with the Patriots to get Carnell Tate?
Well, it's going to make a very exciting game to watch. I just don't think you have the defense to actually win games.
No, but I think
it's going to be one of those ones where you go, they're going to be like fantasy darlings, right? Hey, so everybody's, hey, we got this running back, we got this wide receiver, we got this quarterback. People are going to want to grab them. They're going to overdraft them in fantasy leagues. They're going to be, when you got the 4-box running, when they're on offense, you're going to want to go, hey, how are we doing with just wild young dudes everywhere?
Yeah. How fun would that be, though, to watch?
Yeah.
Must be TV.
That is an exciting thing to watch.
Would your fans pay for it? Would you sell season tickets?
See, I'm not one of those guys. For me, I go, if I'm going to be a guy that goes to football, like I would just go, we're going to football games.
Put your business hat on.
Well,
I've known you for years, and you know business, and you know damn good and well that those two guys sell more tickets than any offensive lineman.
They absolutely are going to. Without a doubt, they are going to sell more season tickets.
But go through the roof. Owners pad their pockets, and they'll worry about drafting O-linemen next year.
They absolutely can do that. Without a doubt.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, no, it's a completely doable thing. It's an exciting thing. It's hey, we're looking to sell a bunch of new jerseys.
Yeah.
We got this new logo.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Telling you. How'd you like to have, you want Jeremiah Love or Carnell Tate or Cam Ward? Which one of the three? Yeah. We're going to call them the new three amigos. All of a sudden, they're going to be the new triplet.
It would get me. You do something like that, and it starts crossing my mind, like maybe I need to go to a Titan. Maybe I need to run down to Nashville for a weekend.
Run down to Nashville. It's only 4.5 hours, right? I mean, let's watch a football game.
Like, it is one of those things that starts going like, well, who's playing in Nashville this year?
I'm
Like,
not
what
kidding.
what other team can I see beat up on this team? Because
These
that's
people
ultimately
think
what's going to
differently than we
happen.
do, Brandon. These people think differently than
Yeah,
we do. I agree with you from a
yeah,
sound structure. This is where they're going. Now,
yeah. That's a fun point. Let's see here.
ah,
We've
we'll
got
see. We don't know.
we've got
It's a possibility.
cool. Now, honestly, this this is an interesting collection of teams to play this year, right?
Yeah.
At home,
Yeah.
they've got Cleveland, the
Okay.
Jets, Philly, Pittsburgh, and Washington. So, like,
They
all
can win
teams,
3
like,
games.
obviously, like, Philly should be Philly,
Uh,
you know? It's always one of those ones that I'm not a big fan of, but, like, they do win games.
they might
But,
cover.
like, those other games are some potentially bad. Washington might bounce back, and then they go on the road, and they've got Baltimore and Cincy and Dallas and Detroit, Vegas, and the Giants. So that is kind of a different situation on the road. But at home, those are some games that
Interesting.
if you can put anything together on defense, you could technically get away with some wins there.
It would be tough
They might
because
lose all their away games.
if you're picking running back, wide receiver, you are absolutely de-emphasized defense, and you have not picked anybody up in free agency to be able to do that. I doubt that happens, right? It's a fun scenario to talk about.
Yeah,
Me
right.
personally, I would probably enjoy watching a Titans game way more if I knew that they had Love, Tate, and Ward. And then,
Uh-huh.
bringing in Wan'Dale Robinson and then having Dable kind of pulling the strings. And I don't even know who their tight end is, but there's got to be some tight end willing to come sign with them. Um, th- that would be fun. Now their defense is going to get just trolled. I mean, it's going to be awful. It'd be like Chad down there trolling on them. But
Uh-huh.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's where it is. So
Okonkwo?
yeah, I don't know. They need a tight end.
Diego Okonkwo is
Yeah,
currently they're
yeah, they're going to pick
starting.
up a
They have
tight
a
end in the
Gunnar
fifth
Helm
round.
as well.
Watch out. They're
Yeah.
going to pick up a tight end in the fifth round.
But no, that's a great idea to pick out. To go, hey, what if we just take 3 young guys and just stuff them into the middle of Nashville and let crazy shit happen? Maybe you
Maybe.
win some exciting games, you put butts in seats, that whole thing.
Well, what happens
But
is the next year is offensive linemen who are free agents and want to get paid might show up because they want to
sure.
play when there are stars behind them because it makes them look good. They want to run block for
Yeah.
low. They want to pass block for a guy who's going to throw 30 touchdowns. It's weird how that happens. And if they can build through the draft on defense, and they need one defensive star, right? They need a Max Crosby. They need a star on defense. They need Javon Curse to come
Well,
back out of retirement.
there's a Max Crosby that's available.
Yeah, that's what I hear, but I can't pass physical.
Can't pass a physical right now, but
Yeah.
he's around.
Yeah.
You can get
That-
exactly a Max Crosby.
We never talked
For the
about
right
that.
price.
Man, that was the most horseshit thing ever. And honestly, unbelievably horseshit. The Ravens are like, oh, you didn't pass your physical, so we're going to go sign Trey Hendrickson for less.
That was wild. And the wildest part for me is we have reporters. Go find out what order this stuff happened in.
Right.
Not everybody's going to be buttoned up. Like there is a reality where you found out something worse than you thought. And then if you want to back away from it, then it's at least defensible.
Yes.
The Raiders fans aren't going to be happy about it,
No.
but at least you go, here's the order in which this thing's happened. But there's also the order in which you go, no, Vegas, said this is where we're at, and then that's where we are at. And then in the interim, we found out that this other guy was cheaper. And so we used a loophole to send his ass back to the desert. And that is messed up. Like that is some dirty
Crazy.
pool.
That's
When you're
crazy.
dealing with, 32, I mean, it's such a small community
Oh yeah.
to go, there's 32 of us that do a job, and we're going to start lying and screwing people. Like it's not a good sign.
No.
Like there is a world where the Ravens, like this is like you get rid of Harbaugh, you know, you don't have who was the GM forever that was like the guy, Ozzie,
Ozzie Newsome.
that was like, yeah, he was like a dude everywhere. Everybody loved
Yeah.
him. He
Yeah.
was, you know, and like he's not around no more. You got a new GM. You get rid of Harbaugh. He was there. He was stable forever. You start failing dudes in physicals, and like eventually you just got Lamar standing around, just going like, "What's happening? Like what?"
Lamar's gonna be on
Because
crutches soon.
his
Just
shenanigans is always going on. Like they're one of these teams that like there is a reality where the wheels just come the hell off this
oh
team.
yeah. It could happen. Now, I hate to say it, we're going to
Yeah,
talk about that when we get to the north, but we have to stay on track because
yeah,
we digress a little bit. We just talked about the Raiders and the Ravens, which had nothing to do
uh-huh.
with the AFC South. But we're going to talk about the Colts
It's
now,
true.
who were leading the AFC South for a lot last year and then had a
Yeah,
epic fall off of a cliff. They have no
we're gonna
first round
start.
draft picks. They traded Sauce.
No,
They traded for Sauce. Sauce got hurt. Sauce is eating chicken wings. And they have massive needs on this team, right? They're hanging on to Daniel Jones rebounding. They just signed him to a contract. They bet on him. I don't know if that's the guy I would have bet on, but they apparently saw enough in their film study that believe that for the first 7 games, which was one of the weakest schedules in the NFL, that Daniel Jones performed at a significant level to pay him the kind of money that they did. So then they took away one of his receivers, Michael Pittman Jr., and let him walk. And so they're sitting here needing linebackers, wide receivers, edge rushers, and O linemen. With a quarterback who's might be okay, he might be Sam Darnold, he might not.
yeah,
They need a lot of defensive help though. By letting Pittman walk, they put themselves in a bad position for the draft. Pittman walking means they need to draft a wide receiver to complement what they've got over there in Alex Pierce, what they've got in Josh Downs. But they were 7th in offense last year, and defense was 25th, and they were 28th in coverage. So hopefully Sauce coming back helps that number jump by itself. But they have a severe need to improve their edge rushing and linebacker play, along with bringing in some safeties and corners that can shut it down in a division that the Jaguars are wide receiver heavy. The Texans are a good defense who can throw the ball around with tight ends quite a bit. I'm interested to see how this plays out. I don't see the Colts finishing as high as they think they want to. What they end up last year, Brandon?
8-9.
They were 8-9, and reality is they felt like they should have been. I think they won their first 6, didn't they, or 7 or something stupid?
Yeah, I think 6 or 7 they won straight out.
If they win 7 games this year, it'd blow my mind. And what's their number?
It's 7.5,
Yeah,
and that has ticked down.
yeah.
It was 8 and a
I
half at the opener,
They've got an aging Jonathan
and
Taylor.
it
They've got a backup quarterback in Riley Leonard, who is probably a pretty good kid, but they're going to around with Daniel Jones and ruin Riley Leonard. They have no receivers. I do love their tight end, Tyler Warren. He's a great tight end. That guy by
oh, yeah.
himself could be one of those players who make Daniel Jones better. So what do they really need in this draft? I think we need to see them going after edge and backers. But they have no first rounders. So they're not even thinking about drafting until middle second round.
Here, this is great. They won those 8 games in the first 10 weeks,
Oh God.
and then they lost 7 straight.
Yeah, they're brutal right now.
Yeah. They
And
lost to the
a lot of that was
Rams
due to
in
the
week
quarterback.
4.
I mean, they brought Philip Rivers out of a 5-year hiatus, and kudos to that guy. But
Yeah,
at the end of the
he
day,
covered.
there's a good chance that depending on how the Titans draft, the Titans could, if they do their homework and do it right, they're going to draft twice before the Colts, and that might be enough to get them to move into third place in the division and the Colts into fourth.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really ends up coming down to whether Daniel Jones can be at the same level that he started the season last year at. Like, if he can come back and he can do all the things that he did, but when you have leg injuries like that, I don't know if, you come back and you're just immediately as mobile as he was. I think that helped them a ton with just he's not running the option or nothing, but he can easily move around, get out of the pocket, get a little bit downfield, keep the defense uneasy. And with the fact that the Colts had these weapons, my estimation, you add that, hey, I can run around a little bit. It's what they were trying to do with Richardson, right? Like they
Right.
went, hey, let's get this guy with a cannon that can run. And then he seems to not be panning out. You find an approximation of that in Jones, and it starts working. You get to week 10 and you're 8-2. You're like, we're about to push the rest of the world into the fireplace. And
Right.
then it just falls apart. So, if he comes back, he's 100%. And like you're talking about, you can give us wide receiver help and that sort of stuff. But I think you're more right that, like, they could end up in 4th place if they
Yeah.
don't watch out.
I think that's where they land for sure. And then bouncing up to the Texans, they actually do have a draft pick that is 28th. Which the Texans are actually an interesting team. I'll be curious to hear what you have to say about the Texans and where they're at. They had a stronger than expected finish, in my opinion, at 12-5. I really, when I see 12-5 for the Texans, that is all predicated on their defense. Kudos to Davis Mills for holding the fort down while C.J. Stroud was recovering from his injuries last year. They actually held that thing together. When I started the season, I didn't have the Texans super high. A lot of people did. A lot of people love the Texans, and it took them several weeks to get their defense in play. I'd be curious if you have the list in front of you, which I know you usually do, which is why I'm asking. What was their record like the last 12 games of the season?
Yeah, let me see here. I've got that right.
Because I'm thinking they started really slow, and of their 5 losses, they were heavy on the front side. And they really put off a good run towards the end, like maybe a 7-win,
They won their
loss.
last 9 games.
Yeah, there you go. So they got hot. And while they lost in the playoffs, right, that's going to happen. You're going to run into better
Yeah.
teams. I see them coming out hot and strong. Now, do they need a few things to improve, right? They need to improve in the wide receiver core. That's a little light. I think Stroud needs help there. The tight ends are strong, running back is fine, offensive line is in decent shape. They need some corner help. They need a little bit more, but could you imagine adding into that defense? With the 28th pick, I was doing a little research. That guy, Peter Woods from Clemson, who is just a beast up the middle, man, just a big old run stopper guy. Could you imagine him sticking him in there
Yeah.
between Daniel Hunter and Will, what's his name, Johnson, or Junior, maybe Will
Yeah.
Johnson. I don't know.
Who you're
But
talking about.
they've got great edges, and then you put that run stopper in the middle. They would be so hard to play. I don't see their defensive taking a step back. 12-5 is stronger than expected last year. 12-5 is, to me, every bit of it. this year.
Yeah, Houston, I think they I think it just took them a couple of weeks to figure out how to use the new guys that they brought in. The first year that Ryans was down there, they kind of went, okay, like this is gonna be a building thing. And then they just got started right out the gate and we're
Yeah,
just running. And lost in the playoffs 2 years ago as well. And then came back and lost the first 3 games. It was like, what the hell? Like the running back situation wasn't quite working right. They were still waiting for Mixon to heal up and come
yeah,
back. And is he going to be good, or how is that going to work? And then to rattle off those games at the end and end the season being the fourth best defense and still have the 16th best offense last
right.
year, you you put yourself in that position to go, yeah, if we can grab even more defense, especially with a defensive minded head coach, that you
Yeah.
go, if you think like, okay, now we've got some of this stuff offensively figured out, you know, I always, kind of lean the direction personally of going, hey, what are we not good at? Unless they've got a guy and they go, hey, we think this guy's way better than everybody else is thinking,
Yeah.
then, I always defer to, you have to hire for your organization. From the outside in, I can go, hey, this is what you guys aren't very good at mathematically, but you got to hire something that fits what you want to
Right.
do. So, but to come in and go, hey, we're gonna add on top of this defense, and we're just going to, to a certain degree, go the Josh Allen route on offense. Hey, we got Stroud. It turned out that, what everybody was questioning while we were losing the first three, and I think four of the first six or something like that. And then he just turns around and he's fine. It's doing what he's sufficient for what the defense is able to provide for them. That you go, okay, he got his feet under him. It's going to be okay. He got through his sophomore season and survived it. And then you just, unleash on them an even better defense. It definitely puts them in a position, especially, when we're talking about these South divisions,
Oh yeah.
it's anybody's game. Look, if you can just have a succinct game plan and execute on it, most of these other teams are going to get out of your way. Now, there is a
Right.
world where Jacksonville keeps playing well, Houston plays well, Indy, and that the AFC South kind of gets out of this malaise with the NFC South. And maybe they break the curse on this whole thing. But historically, any team that can, hey, we're going to play better than average, eventually pushes everybody else to the side down here.
Right.
So a world beater defense is going to allow you to do stuff like that.
Yeah. It is absolutely. And they have that defense, and it's going to be interesting to see if they build on it or if they try to go offensive help. I could see them trying to solidify a piece in the first round, but they are in a position too. They could follow the Patriots model. If their guy is there and they think he'll be there early in the second round, they could allow somebody to trade up. The 28th spot's one of those trade up places that we see from time to time. So,
For
but that'll
sure.
be an interesting thing to watch for.
Yeah. And
Okay.
surprisingly enough, Houston and Jacksonville are another one of these teams that went on some runs, and both of their over unders have been set at 9.5
Right.
and have held steady there.
Yeah.
Houston's over has gotten slightly more expensive over the last couple of weeks, and Jacksonville has stayed exactly flat. But, to again have an entire division where you go, we don't think any of these teams are going to win double digit games.
Yeah.
you got to take your opportunity that's sitting in front of you to go, okay, well, then we'll do the drafting, we'll do the signing, and we'll get ourselves up to 10 games and win this division and get ourselves in the playoffs, maybe get ourselves a home game, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Brandon, let's take a look. The division champs
Yeah.
breakdown. T-Law and the Jacksonville Jaguars. They had their number one pick, Travis Hunter, out for most of the season. That's going to be like a big win for them coming in. On top of it, what are you seeing as their biggest moves for what we're going to look at coming up this year?
So they let this is fun. Have you heard NTN? That's not how you pronounce his name.
ETN.
Not that
Travis
either.
Travis Etienne, right?
Yeah, he came out. He left Jacksonville, went to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Said, by the way, my last name is pronounced H.
What?
Yeah.
Come on.
There's a nice clip out there from the dude that's on NFL Network
Dave Chan. Huh.
and doing a diatribe about this of going, hey, NFL players, feel free to just tell us how to pronounce your name. We'll all gladly say your name correctly. You just got to bring it up to somebody.
Right.
We'd like to call you by the right pronunciation. We're saying players' names all the time, and we'd like to just say it the right way.
Yeah.
And apparently he went over to New Orleans and went, oh, by the way, Achan, Aychan is like the phonetic spelling pronunciation of his name.
Huh. Does his brother go by that
he
too?
left. Huh?
Does his brother go by that too?
I guess so. I think I have to assume so. That really wasn't brought up as a conversation, but yeah, you would hope that everybody is
in the family's got the same name. You never know,
You
right?
just don't know. You got the St. Brown brothers that their parents just made up their last name. Just added the Saint onto the front of it. Like, you never know. You go about it however you want, I guess. But they let him go, or he decided to leave. I don't really know what the reporting on that was, but they got Chris Rodriguez Jr., brought him in to be running back.
Yeah.
And then re-signed a whole plethora of second, tier sort of guys, half the defense, 3 cornerbacks, linebacker, D-line, re-signed all those guys. So presumably, the only departures, Devin Lloyd went to Carolina, Greg Newsome II went to the Giants.
Yep.
Andrew Wingard went to Arizona.
Yep.
So, their defense that, at times did what it needed to do, they ended the year as a 19th defense, but I think, those late games that we watched, the defense did enough to make it happen. They ended up with the 6th offense, and I think most people kind of looked at that and went, they're kind of playing over their head. They've kind of figured out a scheme here that is just working, and they won 9 of their last 10 games playing a pretty easy schedule. They had like the 28th hardest schedule.
Okay.
And so I think that that's what then leans to, them ending the season 13-4, and then Vegas going, why don't we talk about 9.5 wins next year? So, I think, in my mind, you got to focus on that defense, right? Unfortunately, they have no first-round picks.
No.
The first pick they've got is in the second round at number 56. So, hopefully they've got some guys that they've isolated, or are, maybe they're one of the ones that is in the game for buying back into the first round.
Right.
Hard to say. But and it, so much of this when, hey, your first pick isn't until the 56th pick, you get 12, 15, 20 picks in before there starts being rumblings that, like, oh, with the way that this is going, now Team X is interested in trying to trade back in so they can get some player that they're really focused on. But in those, late 50s sort of range, we've got, a handful of defensive guys in here. You got Jake Golday out of Cincinnati. I try to look this up. Or Davison Igbinosun coming out of
Okay.
Ohio State,
Yeah. Yeah.
cornerback. You got some of those guys. Um, Michigan, Derek Moore on the edge, you know, that are kind of right around that range of you got to do something to get from a defense playing over their head to, hey, we can meet where the offense at least was able to do last year. Remains to be seen if this is Sunshine's literal peak and he's never going to be able to get back there again, or if this is kind of a new thing that they've unlocked by turning over the coaching staff and that this one is finally going to work for him.
Remind me from a free agent perspective, did they pick up any running backs after A. Chan left or ETN, whatever his name is?
Chris Rodriguez Jr.
Yeah, okay, so that's not enough.
No.
Their run game. So I was just kind of going through their stats as you were talking. So if anybody's staring at me, they're seeing me look at the screen instead of you. They're actually in the top 12 in almost every Pro Football Forecast category: offensive ranking, pass block, receiving, run block, defense, run defense, tackling, pass, or coverage. But they've got two very, very weak spots. One is pass rushing, and the other is the running game. So they must have just been very dissatisfied with ETN and the running back crew, obviously, to let him walk like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't target or try to figure out how to get in the second round a running back that can replace that, not just replace that production, but improve upon it, because it wasn't very good. And then their pass rushing is very, very weak from an edge perspective. So I find it very interesting. It doesn't feel like, from an offensive perspective, a pass perspective, pass ball. I mean, it feels like they're very good across the board. When you talk top 12 in every category, there's not many teams that are top 12 in every category. But running is not one of them. They do not have a running game. And as I sit here and think back to how the season ended with them trying to press the ball down the field, that probably makes sense, because I really felt like when I was watching that game, I continued to think, Sunshine, why aren't you getting this done? And in reality, if he didn't have a running game to help him, that's a problem. And I'm going to point right back to Missouri in that that's where Mahomes struggled. He didn't have a running game to support him like he did in the past. Quarterbacks that don't have a running game to support that, look at the Super Bowl champions, right? I
Uh-huh.
mean, if you don't have a running game that can alleviate pressure, that's a problem, which could go to why Jeremiah Love is a pick early. A running game alleviates pressure. Uh, it's definitely a problem going into this. So when I listen to what you're saying, I 100% agree, with the caveat that there's a big deal in this running game for Jacksonville, I think.
It is, but the problem that they run into is that, when you look at who's available out there,
Yeah,
you fall from Love. The
Wavy.
second rated is Notre Dame's other running back, Darian Price, that
Yeah,
they've got ranked at 71st.
which is brutal. Which, this is a problem.
Which, look, if you like one of these guys, you got him, you got Mike Washington Jr. coming out of Arkansas, you got Nicholas Singleton coming out of Penn State. This is 71, 89. You can get these guys later. If there's one of these guys, Indiana's running back is out there. You
Yeah.
got Wake Forest, another Penn State, Katron Allen.
Does this mean
If you
he's
looked at any of
taking
these
love?
guys, well, like, where you just start staring at it and going, like, if you really think that he's the last piece, do
Yeah.
you try to piece together picks package where you can go up high enough to get him?
No, you don't do.
Or do you look at, well, I mean, it's a long way to move
Uh,
and it's expensive, but
you can't do that.
if you look at it and go, hey, we can't get there, well, then you got to pick one of these guys, or you got to say, hey, look, I really believe in Chris Rodriguez Jr., or we have some other plan to bring another guy in, or it's just not the year for a run game.
This is not the year for Jacksonville. Based on this makes me think under. I just look at this and I think the one area they needed to improve upon, they got worse. That's rough.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. I
Wow.
don't know if
Now I got to go look
there
at
is.
Jacksonville real quick.
I mean, you just never know. Like, look, running backs are crazy, right? You look at the guys that are the top running backs for teams
Dude, the
that
under nine
you
and a half
go, yeah,
minus 140.
yeah, yeah.
That
It's a lot of pressure,
that's a lot of pressure.
huh? A lot of pressure on the under. But what
Wow.
that means is that eventually that number is going to move. You can't push that much past like 150, 155 before they go, okay, we're going to bring it down to 8.5.
Wow.
So it's one of those things that, like, if you look at this draft and you go, I don't think that they can fix the weaknesses through the draft, then there's a reality where we get to the other side of the draft. They prove they can't fix the weaknesses. And then even more money rushes in and eventually pushes it down on the other side of the 8 or the other 8.5. And, you have this opportunity here as it stands now where you can capture that ninth win on the underside and go, hey, even if they are better than 500, you can still hit your bet.
Dude, that's crazy to me. That's a telling statistic. Wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
So I anybody's listening to us, we've uncovered something there. Watch that. If you can shop that under 9.5 and get it better than 140, if you can get it in the 125 range, 120, and you really believe Jacksonville's not going to get it done, I don't see a path forward through the draft for them to improve that running game, and the free agent market's done. So they are not going to
Basically.
have a viable running attack this year, which to me screams under 9.5. Wow.
It feels that way to me as well.
Wow.
I think
That's
you
crazy, dude.
collected it all up in a nice way, but it seems to all point at that they've got a problem on their hands unless they have a real plan for this guy coming out of Washington that they signed to elevate him more than the Commanders have been in the past. I mean, he was fine on Washington, but he was never like a guy.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that actually, man, as I sit here and think about it, that's something that I wasn't quite expecting. But look, we uncover things here on the St. Louis Syndicate as well. You guys, as we go through this, you never know what we're gonna see.
Sometimes you just got to talk through it.
You just got to talk through it, and honestly, when you look at it, sometimes the numbers make sense, sometimes they don't. But the facts are out there and they don't lie. Obviously, do your homework, but this is one to pay attention to. I really don't advocate a minus 140 number. I think it's too. I don't like 140s. It's too much to lay. But honestly, that tells us directionally when you're doing your forecast for your pools or you're doing your futures in different areas or different things that you're doing that may be related and not related to just laying a pure 140. Well, Brandon, that's good information for the syndicate. That's your wrap up of the AFC South. Really great insight on the Jags. Good job there. You guys look out for that minus 140 and look out in total, right? This division potentially could be very weak, it could be very strong, but Texans are probably looking like the top team here. And man, wouldn't it be cool if Tennessee ended up with guys like Tate and Love and Cam Ward in the backfield? Man, that could make for some fun football for years to come.
That's for sure. It's going to be fun to watch. That's at the very least if they decide to go that direction.
I'm Nate. He's Brandon. We're the Syndicate. Catch us on our next update. See you.
Cheers.